Hello everyone, my name is Max. I learn languages and today is day 773 of learning Persian since I've started, and I just reached the milestone of 5,000 words here on Link. That means that I know 5,000 words passively, so I understand them when I read them or when I hear them in a meaningful context. And I can use part of that 5,000 words as well in a conversation, as I've showed you in various videos here online. And now I'm going to quickly tell you how I've learned those words and what I've learned about learning vocabulary in general. So I hope it's useful for you. So what I did mainly to get to these 5,000 words is reading and listening. That is mostly what I did, and I did most of that with this app called Link Q from Steve Kaufman. I highly recommend you download this app if you're learning Persian or any other language. You can read with this window. Okay, the app is basically a window, and you read and listen and click on the words you don't know, and automatically, if you don't click on them but keep going to the next page, it automatically counts them as passively known words, and you'll see this number in the corner here going up. So now I'm at exactly 5,000, which is why I decided to make this video. And if I keep going, the number goes up. And when the number of words goes up, you know that you are learning the language, right? So I also think that learning vocabulary, like knowing new words, is the most important thing in language learning. If you want to know your improvement, and you are counting, right? Now, how to get those words quickly is to spend more time with the language. And a very easy way to spend more time with the language is by reading and listening, right? So that's what I'm doing on Link. And I did try a lot of other techniques. Now, let me tell you about those a little bit. What I tried, for example, is the spaced repetition methods. I tried it with various language apps like Duolingo, but not Duolingo because it doesn't have Persian. But for example, Mondly or Ling Languages. All those apps will be in the description. I used them and I learned a few words with them probably, but I noticed that I get bored very quickly. I forget the words almost immediately after I've learned them. I don't really enjoy using those apps more than 5 or 10 minutes. So in the end, it helps a little bit, but it's not how I got to these 5,000 words. Okay. I also tried the spaced repetition system that is built into these apps, but then myself, so a custom way. What I did is I had basically in my wardrobe, in my book closet, I made 5 different sections, and then I made a few cards. I wrote down a Persian word on one side, and then the Dutch or English translation at the other side. Right? I checked if I knew them. If I knew them, I put them in the first box. If I didn't, I had to check them again the same day. And like that, I have 5 boxes with a spaced repetition a system in there. So the first day you check the cards every day, then you put them in the section of the second day. If you don't know the words, you go back to the first one. The second day you review them. If you do know, they go to the day number 4, and like that you keep going to the 5th box, which is that you review those words after 14 days. And then if you know those words, supposedly you know them forever. What I noticed is that it took a lot of time. It did help a little bit, but I wasn't learning the way I want to learn, which is with meaningful context, understanding what somebody is saying to me, right? Now, these spaced repetition systems with language apps or in a custom way or doing something like flashcards, it helps, okay, especially in the beginning to get a little bit of a feeling for the words. For me, it was great also to learn the script, for example. I did find it useful to learn the script because I was writing the words. I was trying to read them after, right? And then checking the translation, being like, okay, going back and reading them again, right? I also wrote down in Finglish the pronunciation of the words. So I felt it did help me with learning the script, but not really to get to the 5,000 words. Maybe I learned 200-300 words with that, but definitely not more. And if you look at how much I actually did those things, that's not a lot of gains. However, reading and listening, in the beginning, it always felt to me that it wasn't going anywhere, right? I, for example, took a textbook, then I translated the words. I tried to read the text, translated the words I didn't know, then listened to the audio, do it again. Sometimes I downloaded the audio and the text into Link and I read it with the app. And always after a couple of weeks, I realized, oh, I actually know these words now. So I just kept on reading and listening. And in the next text, I saw the same words as in the previous text. But I was like, oh, I know this word. And I had this feeling like, oh, I know it, right? Well, when I kept doing that, after many weeks, I started to understand more and more words. And that's basically how I learned Persian. It's also how I've learned Spanish and German and intermediate French so far. So reading and listening and translating whenever I was reading it. And also the way I do it might help you a little bit is as follows. I told you first I look at the text, I translate the words, and I listen to the audio. And then I also listen to the audio many more times when I'm just going about my day. So I listen to the audio when I'm in the metro, when I'm taking a walk, when I'm in the bus, things like that. And like that, I hear the word many, many times. I hear the words that I've seen in the text that I've translated. I hear them many, many times. And therefore, they are kind of integrated into my brain, or they get kind of sucked into my brain, if you know what I mean. So that really works. So conclusion so far is reading and listening is great, translating the words is great, listening to the audio while walking is great. Spaced repetition systems help a little bit, but mainly for other things like learning the script, maybe learning pronunciation, and not that much for actually knowing the words. Then some other things that I've tried, of course, also worked. I took, for example, language classes, and I noticed the obvious thing that if I used a word during a language class, after that it was a lot easier for me to remember that word. So actually activating your vocabulary is very important, because then it will take a very long time before you'll forget it. Probably because we are social beings, right? Humans are social animals. So we are kind of wired to remember whatever is useful to us, and communication is the goal, so communication is useful. Meaning that if you want to learn and really remember a specific set of words quickly, then it makes sense to communicate with those words with someone in the target language, right? If I want to, for example, really remember the chess pieces, the words for chess pieces, rook and bishop and so on, probably it makes sense to play a game of chess with someone in Persian while we are talking about those words, right? That would be a great way to learn those words. So activating my vocabulary really worked. Also, anytime I try to write sentences with words, I notice it really helps. Not as good as talking to someone, but it definitely helps a little bit. So I also tried those things. I had some language classes. I wrote sentences. I tried to write texts. Not that much. I've done it a little bit. But it also helps. So, those are the things I did to learn these words. Yes, and lastly, I would like to say something that hopefully really helps you. I've also tried some methods that I thought were kind of a shortcut. So I did some things that I thought, okay, this is going to really ingrain those words into my brain, and then I'll know them. For example, what I did is I wrote the names for the pieces of furniture in my living room on papers, and then stuck it all over the living room and tried to look at those words whenever I was there. So for example, the word for chair, sandali, I looked at the word, and then I hoped that it would be part of my everyday environment, and therefore automatically also I would integrate the vocabulary into my system. It didn't work like that at all, actually. Every time I was just looking at the word and thinking, oh, how do you pronounce that again? Maybe because of the script. Also because it wasn't very useful, I guess. I mean, I didn't really use the word chair much after that, or especially like words like window or wall or world map. I didn't really use it, so I also forgot. I can't even remember right now. So a shortcut like that doesn't really work. Also, what I tried is to write 1,000 sentences. After 140 sentences, I got super bored and I hated myself for trying it. And I didn't talk about it on the channel ever again. Again, the reading and the listening was going so slow. At least that was my feeling. That I tried to find shortcuts. But these shortcuts, they don't work. Okay, so they also won't work for you, I presume. So I suggest you also read and listen, speak to people, write sentences, and don't think that you can find some kind of trick that will get you there faster, like memorization techniques or writing 1,000 sentences. I mean, writing 1,000 sentences will help, but it's not like you miraculously get to some level by doing that or something. Okay, I feel very achieved today, so I'm going to do something else with my life. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope it helped. Khoda nehkatar. Dost azizam. Khodafis.